up a couple of other items. So,
Okay, no problem.
thank you so much. Would you mind staying with me just a little while longer this morning? I wanted to ask you about just if you're comfortable
The Big
as a
Picture
pastor,
with
why
Ed
you
Nice
think
Saturdays at 1 p.m.
why
Let's be
you
clear
might
about
think
what the right,
it's
at least
important
what it says
for
it
people
wants.
to vote and to be involved in the political process.
I'm just
Summary arrests and executions. That's
Michelle.
not actually what happens
I'm sorry,
in
I can't hear
democracy.
you.
On
Henry, can you
TV,
pull
they
that down a
feed
bit?
this fury, and they promise to deliver on this.
Okay, you said you want to talk about.
Well, it's the midterms, and there's so much going on, and you coming out of the civil rights movement. I don't know how you cross these pieces, but I wanted to know if you would care to comment on why it's important to be involved in this political process.
No, okay.
But only if you're comfortable.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay. Only if you're comfortable. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm trying to check all of those who came through.
Okay, I'm not hearing her on the Facebook live stream.
You're not hearing her on the Facebook. Can you speak again?
Yes. You want me to speak again?
Yeah. Because we're trying to make sure that we can hear you.
Yes. I'm here. I'm well. All is well.
Perfect. I can hear her now.
You can hear her now? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I added two more extra minutes, so there's a buffer now.
Okay, what time are we coming in?
1 second.
Thank you.
Like just about 6:08.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. I needed that. I need that, shall I say. Okay, can you turn that back up for me, Henry?
Sure thing.
Okay, thank you.
In the U.S. is not working.
Is that better?
Yes, I just need to.
According to a
That gives me a sense of time.
Yeah.
Democracy is working well or extremely well is only 9% in the new AP poll. At least 6 Russian citizens have been detained over the past few weeks for flying drones or taking photographs of sensitive sites in Norway. Well, this morning, the Bergen airport in Norway closed briefly after at least one drone was seen nearby. No word of any arrests. This is AP News. The Biden administration is announcing plans to expand 24/7 mental health care.
Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra says this is something that's only been available to some in some places.
We are connecting the dots to make sure we give everyone full health care.
Millions of dollars in grants will be awarded to expand all hours mental health and substance abuse care. This effort began with a bill in 2014.
We are finally going to treat healthcare above the neck the same as healthcare below the neck.
The bill was sponsored by Michigan Democrat Debbie Stabenow in the Senate, as well as Missouri Republican Roy Blunt.
There is a dramatic decline in what happens in people's overall health if you're dealing with their mental health.
More than 400 community behavioral health clinics across 46 states provide 24-hour care. Grants will be used to expand the clinic. Ed Donahue, Washington.
And I'm Linda Foley, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 Chicago traffic update.
I-55 is closed southbound at I-80 due to a huge mess after a crash involving two semis. One was carrying a load of soybeans, the other water. It's all over the roadway along with a diesel spill. Ramps from I-80 to southbound I-55 are closed. Same true of the I-55 southbound ramps to I-80. So you can use 52 to get around this, or if you're far enough north, you can use 355. Northbound I-55 is open, but do expect delays. Inbound Stevenson, farther north, traffic is slow. Harlem to Kedzie. It's 30 minutes from the Veterans Memorial to Saba Lake Shore Drive. Inbound Basic Ford is stop and go. 115th Security Island. Crash on the left shoulder. Behind Alamonte.
The Tom Hartman radio program provides all of the intelligence, information, and insight you'll need to win the water cooler wars. Weekdays 11 to 2 right here on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
What's your least favorite season? Now, if you're like me, it's cold and flu season. So get relief from it this year with Mucinex DM. With cough and chest congestion relief for 12 hours in just one dose. That's 3 times longer than 4-hour products. Mucinex DM makes any season comeback season. Even cold and flu season. Get 3 times the relief in just one dose with Mucinex DM. It couldn't be simpler. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cough and cold remedies. Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for chest congestion and cough, day or night. Use as directed.
Matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. Yes, we can. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing for all of the people.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. Getting a little feedback here, a little echo. Let's work on that. Hey, I hope that you're having a great day today. Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. The NBA season has started. Yay! The Bulls will be playing the Heat tonight, and the Timberwolves will be facing off against the Thunder. And, of course, Golden State got there championship rings last night. Yay, yay, yay. And Steph Curry wished Brittany Griner a happy birthday and made yet another appeal for her freedom. Another appeal, free Brittany Griner. She's not being unlawfully held, everybody. Everybody has their laws. But unmercifully, yeah, we want mercy and we'd like to get her home. We'd like to get her home. And that's the only way we're going to get her home, really, to make a plea for mercy. So everybody, let's get right to it on the Santita Jackson Show. Let's talk about the midterms. I'm opening up the phone lines and I want to hear from you. 773-763-9278 here on WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. I want to hear from you today. I want to know what your thoughts are about the most important issue facing Americans in the economy. Is it abortion? Is it the economy itself? Is it jobs? Is it democracy? LGBTQ plus rights? I mean, you let me know. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. The president decided yesterday, and Democrats have been pushing on abortion rights, on reproductive rights. No doubt, very important. But polling data is showing increasingly, with increasing urgency, that Americans are most concerned with the economy and inflation. And then crime and abortion is kind of fighting in there for third or fourth place. So I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think. Do you think that the messaging from the Democrats is a winning message? Should they be leading with abortion, or should they, as Bernie Sanders has said, look, you have got to take it to the Republicans on the economy? Everything that we have put forth, Democrats that is, everything that Democrats have put forth to help the average American, not just the working American, but the average American employed or not. Everything that Democrats have put forth, Republicans have pushed back on. He says, why don't you talk about that? Don't talk about what we have not done. Talk about what they have obstructed. So I want to hear from you. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278. I want America to hear you today. I want you to tell people. I don't want people to talk about you. I want people to speak to you. And I want to hear what your thoughts are. What should the Democrats be campaigning on? All right, so let's get to it. In Chicago, we're going to have a high of 48 degrees today. Oh, I love wearing these clothes at this time of year, but my goodness, it's chilly. Minneapolis, 47 degrees, partly cloudy. Major League Baseball. Well, we are trying to get to the World Series. Who's going to get there? Well, the Yankees won against the Guardians yesterday. 5-1, they won their series. And the Phillies, well, are they a team of destiny? Some people think so. They're leading their series 1-0 over the Padres. They play them again today. And our Bulls will be playing the Heat tonight, and the Thunder will be playing the Timberwolves. I love it, love it, love it. President Biden vowed yesterday to make codifying Roe v. Wade his first legislative priority if Democrats control Congress after the November elections. He's going to have to get many more Democrats in the House and the Senate in order for that to happen. But that is his ambition. And he's tying the outcome of the midterms more directly to enshrining abortion rights. What do you think about that? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278, as he gets calls increasingly from progressives like Bernie Sanders to take it to the Republicans on the economy, because that is where the treasure is, everybody. Polling data is showing, multiple polls are showing that the number one worry for Americans is the economy and inflation, and then abortion. Wow. 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. Republicans are entering these final weeks of this contest with a narrow but distinct advantage, everybody. Are you registered to vote? Go to vote.org, vote.org. Find out. It'll only take a couple of minutes. Find out if your name is still on the voter rolls. There's time for you to get re-registered if you don't have same-day registration where you are. But you also want to find out where you can vote. in Chicago during the primary season, more than 100 precincts will close in this city alone, affecting more than 100,000 voters. That could happen to you. So go to vote.org, vote.org, and guess what? Early voting in the main is beginning today. So if you face trouble, uh, in the precinct when you're voting, if you're being harassed, if you find out that you're not on the voter rolls, if anything happens, go to 1-866-OUR-VOTE. 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 Do not leave the polling station. Do not leave. Stay right there and get instructions from them about what you are to do. 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Do not leave. If something happens, if you're being denied the opportunity to get in a booth, or if you find out that you've been purged from the rolls, call them immediately. Lawyers are on standby, and they are there to help you. The campaign is getting really, 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 really ugly. Some protesters stood at one of Herschel Walker's rallies and called him a house N-word. They called him a joke. They said he tap dances. And some people were upset by that, but it was a black man. Other people were saying, well, what do you think? So what do you think about that? 773-763-9278. It's just under 3 weeks from Election Day, and nearly 2.5 million Americans have already cast their ballots, and they're casting them today. It's too early to predict 2022, but we're going to see if we have exceptionally high turnout. Some people think that will happen. In the meantime, Governor DeSantis from Florida signed a bill creating one of the nation's only election police units. And last night, if you were watching the news, never before seen police body camera footage released revealed that his plan is actually working. His efforts to punish Florida residents for alleged voter fraud is targeting not scheming fraudsters, as his Common Dreams reports, but people who were led to believe that they were legally allowed to vote. People who were led to believe that they were legally allowed to vote, and they have been arrested. So I want to know. See, voter suppression is real, everybody. The election police units, they have them in Florida. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol will issue a subpoena to former President Donald Trump shortly, as they put it, to seek his testimony under oath, as well as documents, according to Liz Cheney. On Tuesday, the committee's vice chair did not commit to what the panel will do if he does not comply. We'll see how all of this works. People will lose their jobs. Experts are rising in a course of condemnation against the Fed's tax hikes. They're saying that you're going to lose a lot of jobs, and the Fed said that too. So, and watch your water, everybody. There is analysis that shows that toxic forever chemicals are found in over, guess what? Wait for it, 80% of the nation's waterways. 80% of our waterways in the United States have forever toxic chemicals, or toxic forever chemicals, however you put it. This is not good news. But we've got Pastor Vicki Johnson, who's going to give us some good news. And I cannot wait to hear this, because you know what? I need that after reading those headlines. I'm like, wait a minute. There's always something good. But when you think about water, as we're looking at all of these overseas adventures in which we engage ourselves, and we see that 80% of our waterways, Pastor Johnson, have toxic chemicals. And then when our loved ones have cancer and these other diseases, we try to figure out, well, how did that happen? It's everywhere. Pastor Vicki Johnson, everybody, St. Thomas Lutheran Church here in Chicago, 80th and Jeffrey. You've got to get there for your hour of power, 11:45 to 12:45. How you doing, Pastor Johnson?
I am doing well, Santita. What about you?
I'm doing great.
All right. Well, good morning to you, and good morning to all of your morning stars and friends. There is good news. You may have heard some adages that we use as children. Rain, rain, go away, come again some other day. And sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I said these things often, and I used that sticks and stones when they used to call me names because I was very thin. They called me Bones, and it was painful. But if I used sticks and stones may break my bones and words will never hurt me, then I would feel a little better temporarily. Knowing that this was not really true, I wanted to find out, where did this adage come from? And why is it used so frequently? I came to find that Alexander William Kinglake was an English writer and historian that once had a thriving legal practice, and he used these words to diffuse conflict, believing that physical confrontation is much more damaging than personal insults. We said this every opportunity we had to make ourselves feel better about whatever was being said about it. But believe it or not, words do hurt.
Yeah.
Insults are demeaning, and pretending that they don't harm you doesn't really benefit you. We should think twice about what we say before it turns into what was almost a ruckus, like in the first return of the game in the NBA season last night between Boston and Philadelphia. They got into a little bout with each other last night. Before you say anything that can be harmful, then take a time out. If insults are hurled at you, take a time out to dismiss what was said and then acknowledge the truth about yourself. As the ruckus was beginning last night, there was a time out for the referees to decide what decisions should be made about what has happened. You can do the same thing. Take a time out to examine the words that were hurled at you, and then acknowledge the truth about yourself. And if the insults just so happen to be the truth, take a time out to assess this truth and determine where to go from here. A time out whenever you need to deal with sticks and stones and words that might hurt you is necessary. Time outs are good for more than just sports. Teachers put students on time out when they got a little unruly in class to get things back together again. They are good for life. So when you need it, take a time out for yourself. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, and a time out might do you some good. If you will do this, then I believe that you will. Then to me, that's good news.
Amen to that. Why do you think so? I've Pastor Thurston, one of your baby brothers in the ministry, and I'm hearing more and more pastors talk about mental health. What's going on?
Well, in churches, many times what we often dealt with back in the day was just your spiritual health, your spiritual well-being, establishing a relationship with your Creator. Then we found out during movement times that we could not just deal with what was going on spiritually and talking about going to heaven when life on earth was hell. And so we dealt with our physical well-being, with housing and food insecurities, with healthcare concerns. But now we also realize that there's another component, and that we are suffering with things that are affecting us mentally, and that we must pay attention to those things. I think therapy is one of the greatest things in the world. And even though in communities of color, people have been looked down upon if they had therapy, they just, would tell you to go pray about it and you'll be all right. No, you need to talk about it with someone who is trained to listen, that can possibly guide you in a direction that will bring clarity and healing for the mind. So that's why we're talking about it so much now.
Okay, I like that. I like that because, many people see pastors as just looking at that which is spiritual, right? And you're like, no, the head bone's connected to the neck bone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very quickly,
Right.
this proved that we are in very, very challenging times. And I'm sure you see in your church, people have to deal with reproductive issues. People have to it's life. People are dealing with money or the lack thereof. Can I keep my house? Will I be able to send my children to school? Money, 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 money. What do you see? Are people concerned about this election, or are they just, saying, it's just another day in a couple of weeks?
Well, at my church at St. Thomas Lutheran, we've been making announcements about the election, I would like to say since maybe the end of August, because we realize that our democracy is on the line. Our democracy that was fought for is on the line. There is a great significance in us voting, just to keep your own rights. And I believe in women's rights. I believe that people that say that they are pro-life, then they need to be pro-life once that child gets here, to provide food, clothing, shelter, quality education for them, health care, everything that helps life to be worth living all the way through, not just to get another mouth here that cannot be fed. And so all of these things are very important, and we push it. We can't tell you who to vote for from the pulpit, but we can tell you and encourage you strongly to vote. And we do that every Sunday.
Amen to that. I like that. I like that in you and I love the way that you're reframing this debate about life. I'm like, you're not pro-life if you're against prenatal care. You're not pro-life if you're against Head Start and K through 12 education, and really K through 16. You are not pro-life. You're not doing anything to enhance anyone's life. I mean, you're not doing anything. And it's refreshing to hear, our spiritual leaders come forth and say, hey, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but as the great one, Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman used to say, it works when you work it.
If you work it. Mm-hmm.
She would say, you got to work it. You got to vote, everybody. You got to vote. You got to get involved. And so I want to hear from everyone today. I want to know what you think the big issue is. Bernie Sanders is saying, look, everybody, Democrats in particular, running on abortion. He said, I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but don't avoid the economy. The economy is what's got people really wound up increasingly. When you go to the gas pump, I don't know about you, and I'm not a driver, but I pass the gas stations every day. When they say it's almost $4 a gallon, I'm like, where? Not where I live. It's way above that. I mean, and when I go to the grocery store, I'm constantly shocked. I'm like, what did I just buy? I didn't even buy chicken. I'm like, where did all this money go? And so, and I can only imagine when people have families and all of that. And it's very, very painful. So I want to know what everybody's thinking today. 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. What is the big issue? And more than that, I want to know, do you think that the Democrats, well, not more than that, in alignment with that, do you think that the Democrats do you think their messaging is strong enough to overcome 1 million more Republicans, Pastor Vicki Johnson, who've gone into the Republican column?
There has got to be a different way that we address the issues of our time to awaken people to really vote. I think we're being too soft as Democrats in regards to the issues that are at hand. There's got to be a different way, a better way. And I agree with Bernie Sanders that we need to address what the Republicans have done to halt all of the things that have been pushed so that people can do better in life.
Well, you have seen about these police that they have in Florida now, the election police. They are arresting people and they're fining people who have been told that they could vote, but they find out and they're being charged with fraud. That's happening in Florida right now. I saw the footage last night. So what do you think, everybody? Call me at 773-763-9278. What are the big issues? What are the issues driving the campaign? That should be driving the campaign, that are driving what they say might be record numbers of Republicans to the polls. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. Thank you so much, Pastor. Go, girl.
You are very welcome.
Oh,
Great show.
Oh, yeah. No, I had to say, whoa, what is going on here? Something's not quite right here to me. Something's not quite right. You know, because when you find out that the number one issue,
just not right.
It's crazy. I mean, the number one issue driving people to the polls is the economy. People were, when the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned, yes, you were shocked and you were like, what? Whoa, what happened? Well, okay. Things settle out. As my father often says, hot things cool off. Hot things cool off. So, okay, that was hot then. But what's hot now, all the way through, people don't have their money. And folks are upset about it.
Right.
And I'm like, you better talk about that. Like, what are you doing? This is crazy. You must tell people. You've got to tell people this is what's happening. The reason we don't have, you don't have an extra check right now is because the Republicans have absolutely, they've done this. They've obstructed.
Hello, I have Chappelle ready whenever you're ready to have her
Okay,
through.
thank you. So I'm just saying, I'm thinking that there's something else going on here. And we need to talk about that. But thank you, Pastor Johnson.
Well, thank you.
Unless you have something else you want to say on the air.
No, I'm good. Thank you so much. And you have a great show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Let the words of your mouths and the meditations of your heart be acceptable in God's sight.
Amen. My strength and my Redeemer is my Lord. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. I needed that. Call me at 773. Hey, Miss Pam, 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT. I want to know what you think. Hey, Willie, Hey, Patricia, tuning in from New York. There's noise in the background. All right. We're going to work that out right now. Now, Miss Patricia, let me know if you still hear noise in the background. Okay. Hey, Chaparral, how you doing? Okay, let's bring up Chaparral so that I can speak with her. Chaparral?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, very good. Very, very, very good. Okay.
1 minute till we're on.
Okay, how you doing today?
I'm good. And yourself?
Good. Michael Ann, I know you're not in Chicago, but you're still a Morning Star, and all my Morning Stars, all of you. Lorraine, I need you to gather everybody up, and Stanley, and Meddy, and Nina. We need to have a Christmas shindig. So I need you all to let's get a committee together and let's make that happen. It's already almost November, so we've got a lot of stuff to do. Okay. And because because our event last week was such a success, people have been asking us when we're going to do something else. It's going to be very, very soon, like in the next few weeks.
Stand by. About to come back.
Okay, thank you. Like how many seconds?
Right now.
Okay. You always give me the seconds, okay?
Will do.
Okay.
We can change the world, change the world, change the world. We can change the world, we can change the world, change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love, it's not too late. Gotta save the children, we can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Hey, everybody, 773-763-9278. Phone lines are open. Want to hear what your thoughts are about 2020. Bernie Sanders is saying, hey, Democrats, don't avoid Trump voters. Take it to them. Not in a violent way, but engage them. Engage them. Don't write them off as people who are not winnable. Remember, and he should know, because Trump voters in 2016 were torn between Bernie and President Trump and then Citizen Trump. So let's look at that. And he's saying, look, Democrats, the number one issue that's got Americans on fire is the economy. So we need to campaign there. And don't come from a position of weakness. Come from a position of strength. Come from a position of power, which is to say, we put forth programs, and the obstructionists have been the Republicans. You should not give them more power so they can do less for you and do more to you. How about that? Oh, give it to me. I'll give them some advice. 773-763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. Chaparral, celebrations by us. Okay, now it's nice and chilly. So we can get some warm food. I'm waiting.
Yes. Yeah, we're moving into our chilies and our soups and all of our home cooked meals, our beans and rice. So don't hesitate to give us a call at 708-526-4546, 708-526-4546. Celebrations by Us is your one-stop party connection. We not only can handle all of your catering needs, but we do full decor, which includes table setups, balloon arches, custom designs, as well as also floral arrangements. So don't hesitate to give us a call, 708-526-4546, 708-526-4546. We look forward to serving you. Thank you so much, Santita.
Very quickly, before I go to Pam and the rest of the callers, what is the number one issue for you? Do you think that the Democrats should campaign on abortion or inflation and the economy? Or both? Or all three?
Definitely. My top three would be the economy, inflation, and crime. I think that's what's affecting our community the most and people of color. And so when we think about what Bernie Sanders is saying to the Democratic Party, it's telling them, hey, you're missing out on the most vulnerable people and the most vulnerable voters. Those voters need to know that you are listening to them. And so I think that sometimes, the Democratic elite, they have their heads in the sky and they're looking and focusing on one issue. When he talked about abortion, I'm pro-choice, but it's not a pressing issue to me. Maybe because I'm past childbearing age, but I do want that right protected, but I also want my voting right protected. I also want policing reform. Those things are more pressing because I see more Black and brown people being affected by those issues more drastically right now, as opposed to abortion. And it's also depending upon what's really happening on the ground. Just like the other day, I brought some bread. Bread used to be 99 cents. I'm paying $3.49 for a loaf of bread. Eggs used to be $4. They're now $9.99 for 18 eggs. What are we doing? Milk is almost $5 a gallon in some areas. Some Black and brown community, it is $5 a gallon. Chicken wings. I can go on and on. And so what's hitting us is the economy and inflation. And that's what's making our life harder. So unless he addresses immediately, either issue another stimulus or something has to give. And we're not even talking about gas prices. What kind of relief are we getting? I'm still paying $50 to fill up, if not more.
Okay. Well, Pearl has spoken. What say you? 773-763-9278. 773-763 WCPT. Pam, what's on your mind today? I know you've got some great analysis. I cannot wait to hear it.
Good morning, Santita. But first and foremost, let me say that we celebrated two of our wonderful civil rights leaders, and that is your dad, Reverend Jesse Jackson Jr.
Senior.
Senior. Excuse me, Santita.
It's okay.
And, I thank him. I was not able to attend the celebration, but I want to say publicly that I did make a donation, not because I'm bragging or boasting, but because I want to tell people this. If the Republicans and all of those supporters can raise money on a big lie, Santita, we can raise money on facts and the truth. And the work that your father, your family, and that Rainbow Push organization has done. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Millions should be pouring in to your organization, as well as Reverend Sharpie, who celebrated his premiere of his movie Loudmouth about his life. So I'm saying, if money can be raised on the big lie, we can raise money on the big truth, the big faith, that if we work hard, fight hard, as your dad said, that we can win. When we fight, we win. So those are my words. You didn't pay me to promote anything. Those are the feelings from the bottom of my heart now.
Thank you. With all of my heart, I thank you.
Yes. I'll move forward. The issues. Abortion in itself is not an issue, but it's what that represents, the national banning of abortion. And then what other issues? You're going to then limit contraceptive. They do these things to women, or the Republicans will do this to people they feel who are marginalized. Now, let me say, this is a total power grab. So in the big scheme, long picture, I do believe it is about the oligarchs. It is about an extreme power grab. Now, let me go to the kitchen table issues. Santita, when we talk about inflation, it's no coincidence that everything is rising right near the elections. Well, I know that Tammy Duckworth and the Democratic Party did put forth a price gouging bill. Now, I haven't had any time to do a thorough examination, but however, I think it was voted down, if I'm not mistaken. So when we talk about inflation, these corporations are price gouging just in time for the elections. I hear Pearl when she talks about milk and eggs, and then just hot dogs, just basic things that rice that families would buy in bulk so they could feed their children. So I hear her on that. But there are some outside forces beyond governmental control that we need to call out. These corporations and these CEOs. And yes, Santita, I don't want to give up on these Trump supporters, but here's what I just remember. Trump said he had an option to run within the Democratic Party because he supported Democratic elected officials, or he had a choice to run in the Republican. He chose the Republican Party because he knew that he could dominate and do what he did.
That's it.
I'm concerned about the insurrection happening again, Santita. I'm concerned about voter suppression. And I think the Democratic Party is strong on trying to protect those issues for not only Democratic voters, but Republican voters. So I'm looking at just a long-term picture of where I want this country to go. Fascism, for me, that's important. It may not be a kitchen table issue, but if you don't have federal freedoms, you talk about states' rights, we've been there before, and it seems like the Republican Party wants to take us back.
But you know what, but Pam, stay right there.
Sure.
Because see, I hear all of this talk about fascism. I get it. But if you're not willing to call J. Edgar Hoover, after whom the FBI's headquarters, federal headquarters, it's still named after this man. If you're not willing to call him a fascist, if you're not willing to acknowledge that the FBI today, they had many people in their ranks who were sympathizers with that insurrection. If you're not willing to do those things, I think people are talking out of both sides of their mouths and talking out the sides of their necks. They are not serious about democracy. If you're serious about democracy, you will ensure that everyone has equal access to the vote. And I don't see a whole lot of people in either party really, really trying to make that happen. That is something that could happen overnight, Pam. Overnight. Scalia sadly was right. Justice Scalia said, it's nowhere in this Constitution that you have the explicit federally protected right to vote. You ain't got it. So when they talk about saving the democracy, oh, please, you better put some meat in those bones. Otherwise, please be quiet.
Well, I'm going to say we need meat in those bones, but I don't want you to be quiet because we have to start somewhere, Santita.
No, what I'm saying, don't be hypocritical. Now, either you're going to stand with me all the way or please be quiet because you're not serious. Because either you're with me or you're against me on the vote, on the right to vote. Either you're with me or against me on justice and policing. I mean, there's no gray there. There's no daylight.
Where there's no gray, but the Republicans aren't even trying to meet anywhere. I mean, they're just, for me, in a whole nother atmosphere.
So the Democrats, are they messaging properly? Do you think that by going out here and leading with abortion, do you think that is the best way to get voters motivated?
Well, I don't know if abortion is an issue because it is talking about a woman's right to choose.
Oh, but that's not what I'm saying. Wait a minute, just Pam, hold on a second.
No, I'm not saying.
No, because I'm not saying that.
I don't think they're leading with abortion.
No, they are because the head of the party, the president yesterday said we are leading with abortion in this cycle. That was what his speech was about.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
When was that?
Yeah, that was his big speech yesterday. That was his big speech yesterday. Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'd have to go back and hear that because what I've been hearing the strategists say that abortion is an issue. However, they know that they're speaking to crime.
Do yourself a favor.
Republicans aren't doing anything.
Don't depend upon the strategist. Be your own strategist.
Well,
you listen to hold on. Listen to his speech because that is what he said. The strategists have also said. They have also said that, let me read this to you from the Washington Post.
Okay.
President Biden vowed Tuesday to make codifying Roe v. Wade his first legislative priority if Democrats control Congress after the November elections. He's putting abortion front and center and first. In the meantime, polling data, and you have Bernie Sanders who's saying, hey, you're right to focus on abortion, but don't ignore the economy because that's what everybody, while he's out campaigning, while he's talking to people are mad about bread going from 99 cents a loaf to $3.49 a loaf. They're upset about $2 gas being $5, $6, $7, $8, $9. They're tired of corporate price gouging. That is what they're saying. They're talking about the economy and inflation.
Okay, so I'll go back and hear the speech, Santita, but I heard something different in that reading. So I will go back and listen to his
Please
speech.
do.
Price gouging. Santita, the prices are inflating because of these price gouging CEOs.
I got it, but I'm saying you got to talk about it, Pam. Pam, you got to talk about it.
You get no argument, but let's call the CEOs out on the carpet.
That's what I'm saying, but the president has to do that. Because part of what people are voting for is someone who they feel will go into the halls of power and fight for them. See, I don't want to see the Democrats lose. I think we lose when Bernie Sanders is no longer the budget chairman. We lose when Maxine Waters is no longer head of banking. We lose. Well, we lose
when the Republicans talk about sunsetting.
I'm saying I want us to win. So how do you get people motivated to win? That's all, Pam. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, Santita. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, and I hear you, and I hope you know that I hear you and feel you. But because the reason I don't look at the partisan politics the way many people do is because I know people slip and slide. The reason Donald Trump ran as a Republican is because Hillary had and Bernie had taken up all the space. So he said, okay, I'll go over here. Because even Hillary Hillary. That's what, if you look at 2016.
Trump ran with the Republicans, Santita.
He's been a Democrat. He's been everything. And Hillary has been a Republican. Elizabeth Warren has been a Republican. These people look at the horse that will get them across the line, Pam. They do not think about these parties. They don't do that.
Yeah, but Trump had something very sinister already in mind.
All these look
in that Republican Party.
Let me tell you something. You know what he did? He gangstered the party. He took it. He took it from Jeb Bush. He took it from Marco Rubio. All the so-called establishment people. He channeled the anger of the electorate, and he transformed. Wait one moment. Hold on. And he transformed the party because what he did was what other insurgents throughout history have done. He brought people to the party and transformed the party. I don't have to like his politics, but I have to call the game what it is.
Well, I mean, it's easy.
That's what, because Pam, people were torn between Bernie and Trump in 2016.
I think, but for different reasons.
No, but whatever the reasons are, because every Trump voter is not a racist. Every Trump voter does not wake up in the morning figuring out how they can lynch black people and brown people. That's not what it is.
Yeah, but that's kind of extreme, though, Santita. Just because you're a racist doesn't mean you want to lynch.
I mean, and I'm saying whether it's an actual lynching, but Pam, whether it's an actual lynching or metaphorical lynching, I think that our politics need to be much more nuanced than that. Because let me know what I'm going to tell you this. Trump got 20% of the black male vote. And his numbers numbers in the black community, the black voting community, are rising today. And instead of talking about people, I think we need to talk to them and find out why. His numbers are rising in the Hispanic voting community. Why are they rising? I just want to know.
I know we can't go into it, but we know why.
No, we don't know why. Have you talked to them to find out why?
I've talked to some. I don't know a lot of Trump supporters.
Let me tell you something. You know what, Pam? You'd be surprised.
What?
You know more Trump supporters than you know, because you know what they don't do? They don't tell you they support him, honey. Because I have some friends who, a couple of years later, said, well, I did vote for him. And they kind of whisper it to me. I'm like, okay. And because they know that I'm not going to.
I don't think you should be proud that you voted for Trump.
I didn't say that. But Pam, what I did not do. No, what I did not do was rain down a world of judgment on them. I listened to them. Okay. Now, some of them have said, I'll never vote for him again. Others, they don't talk about it, and they know that I'm not going to announce publicly that this is what they've done. They know that. So they kind of They feel that they have a safe space with me, and they do. And they know my politics, and they know my politics I'm willing to live and die on. They know that. But they also believe, you know what? She's giving me space. And I'm saying that part of the reason that I get up and do this show every day is because I want people to have space to say what's on their minds and to speak their perspectives. I don't want to make a lot of assumptions about a lot of folks because a lot of people come from, it's just like life, Pam. People come from a whole lot of different places and spaces.
Sure.
And you have to listen to them because at the end of the day, as my father said often, we came over here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now.
But wouldn't you say that they have to be willing to listen?
Absolutely. And so do we.
For whatever reason. And deal with the facts.
And I'm saying, and so do we. And so do we. And so do we, Pam. And so do we. And
well,
you can
think,
okay.
Yeah. Yes, I think we do as well. So there has to be.
No, we don't. A lot of us 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 don't.
Many of us do.
But I didn't say many. I said a lot of us do not. And that's okay. I'm saying the whole political discourse has to be softened. We have to begin to listen to each other. We have to stop talking about each other. We need to start talking with each other and find out where we're coming from. Because you know what? I really do suspect that if we start listening to each other, you will find that you have more in common with people than you think. If we can bring the temperature.
We soften our discourse.
I didn't say soften your stance.
Hard.
I'm saying, first of all, be mature.
We soften our discourse.
No, what I'm saying is be mature.
But the Republicans harden theirs.
I'm not worried about them because I'm telling you, people are not hardcore anything.
I'm worried about the voters that put. Yeah,
what I'm saying to you is this: about 37% of Americans are Democrats. About almost 30%. About 29%. About 29% are Republican. 28.5% are independent. We're almost even though Democrats, there are more registered Democrats, we're almost a third. And people float between parties. So I don't do this partisan thing because I know people float. What does not float is poverty. Yeah. What does not float is the fact that they are closing public schools all across the country. And our children do not have equal access to equal high quality education, healthcare, housing. So my whole thing is, I want to have that conversation, Pam. So the final word belongs to you.
Well, I'd love to have that conversation and much more, Santita. And I love to have two political parties who are vying for doing all that they can for working class people, middle class people, families who need help, food insecurity, with crime. I'd love to have two political parties absolutely prioritizing all of those issues. But as I see it now, I don't. But what I do see is one party willing to do any and everything to grab power. And that is my concern. I think one party we can push to do the right thing. The other party will absolutely ignore and is on another trajectory. And that is just a road I'm not willing to go down. And I think we have to fight those powers that be. If you're willing to believe a big lie, I mean, that says just a lot to me. But thank you, Santita, for our discourse, our discussion. Thank you.
Absolutely. You got it. I have to tell you, and thank you, Pam. Thank you for always being willing to have this discourse. Look, you all can throw all of this stuff out the window. People need to be mindful of the fact that we've got some real big issues to resolve as Americans. Ukraine is costing you $200 each and every man, woman, and child. 330 million of us in the United States. This is a $67 billion adventure. We don't have that kind of money. And you don't even know why we're there. Aside from you hate Putin, you don't even know Putin. You don't know who he is. You don't know what he stands for. We've got autocrats. We have people here who stand in the way of democracy. You go to the Hill. Go downtown. You have Proud Boys on your police force. Today, you got the FBI who have sympathizers to the insurrectionists are all up in there. You don't need to go overseas to find someone who who needs correcting, you can stay right here in the United States. So all this Republican Democrat talk, no. Democrats need to show me something. Show me that you believe in democracy. Show me. Show me. I am from Chicago. I'm not from Missouri, but show me. And let's talk about this, everybody. And Renee and Robert, I'm going to speak with you when we get on the other side of the break. I want to talk with you. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I don't want to talk. I'm tired of hearing people talk about voters. I want to talk with voters. I want to hear what your thoughts are. What are the most important issues to you? Price gouging, corporate price gouging, all of the data shows that corporate price gouging is driving inflation. They are just making money hand over fist on vaccines, on bread, on oil, on everything. They are just hiking up prices. And we need the elected officials from the president on down and those who are in positions of influence and power to talk about it and to call them out instead of just taking their donations and their instructions. That's what we need. And you need to make Republicans and Democrats and independents and libertarians and everybody else do it. Make them do it. Make them do it. Make them do right by you. This land is your land. It's our land. It was made for and by you and me. It works when we work it. Now, come on, everybody. Let's get in here and make America great, truly. Don't play with that phrase. Let's make it great. The only people who can make it great is you, and me. We're the ones who are going to have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to continue to go down this road and oligarchs are going to control us. I don't think you want that. That's not a good look. It's not a good end. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a few minutes. Okay, we've got Renee and we've got Robert. Hello, Henry.
Hello.
Okay, do we have Renee and we have Robert holding?
Yes, they're still on.
Okay, thank you. Well, just
All right,
tell them I'm coming to them.
Will do. Just calling up the panel right now.
Thank you. Okay.
1 second. Just getting the
Okay.
last person on.
Okay, great. And let me know specifically who we have on, okay?
Will do.
Thanks so much.
All right. So we have CK, Wisconsin State Senator Lana Taylor, Texas Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis, and Illinois Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson.
Okay,
Ready to
so
go.
it's just, let's just say Senator Taylor, Commissioner Ellis, and Commissioner Johnson, and Attorney Hoffler.
Okay.
Okay, can
Will
you
do.
bring them up for me, please?
Yes. Just a
Thanks
moment.
so much.
All right. They're all ready to go.
CK?
We have Rodney here.
Ah, hello, Commissioner Ellis.
Good morning. CK's asleep. Should I call her?
Oh, you are so bad.
You know what? I was on mute. I've been talking asleep. I've been at the office. I hear her now. She's talking in her sleep. You hear her talking in her sleep? I know.
Oh, I love it.
Good morning.
You know, we need to get one of these overseas trips with Reverend again, because you know the fun. I hate to say it. I love you, Commissioner Ellis, Rodney. I love you, but the man who keeps us laughing is Rodney Ellis, because he is a 14-karat nut.
No, I was thinking about Reverend this morning. I saw we have a direct flight starting up in a week or so out of Houston to Australia. I have never been to Australia. That's on my bucket list.
Just over a minute.
We
I remember when Cal Brown was in New Zealand. I should have gone, but I was just checking to see if the seasons are reversed as they are in South Africa.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah. We need to go.
Need to do that.
But these long trips, well, don't know how we can do that.
Well, it's just I get the good books. I don't watch all those movies. I listen to a lot of audio books when I'm on a plane. Get a good one, get into it.
Really? I've never listened to an audio book.
Back and forth to South Africa. Oh, it's wonderful. Now you gotta drink your coffee, because when you listen to it, it'll talk you to sleep. It has to be interesting when you go to sleep.
Okay.
Ask your brother, Jonathan, on those bike rides. I listen to books as well. I know it's dangerous, but I do.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Put the audio book on, put it in your ear.
Back in 30.
Master the Senate by OBJ on that long bike ride from Houston to Austin. The 2-day ride.
Okay. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Who do we have?
Well,
we have Commissioner Johnson? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we have everybody up.
Yes. Hey, good morning. And I'm looking forward to a trip, or you can just take all three of my.
Stand by. About to come back on.
Well, he and Johnny go bike riding on these long, long rides.
Yeah. I'm up to
Stand by.
Change the world. We can change the world. We can change the world. Change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world. I am free.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. We're talking about the issues driving the campaign. Senator Bernie Sanders has said Democrats don't forget about the economy. President Biden said, I'm going to lead with abortion. Abortion was hot a couple of months ago. Now, in politics things, you blink your eyes and it's a new day. Now the economy and inflation are number one, number two, number one. That's what's on everyone's minds. And Republicans are running on that. And the expectation is now that the Republicans are going to claim the Senate and the House. It doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. You need to understand. I think the Democrats need to change the way they're going to do this, because they need to let people know, look, we put forth the economic stimulus plans. We put forth the economic plans that would pull you out of the hole. But the obstructionists, the people who stopped you from advancing, the other Republicans, they need to say that. Call me at 773-763-9278. It's Legal Q&A with CK. Got a tremendous panel of people going to talk with us. Texas Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis and Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor and our own Illinois Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson. The CK Hoffler is we're going to talk about the messaging of the Democrats. Is it enough? Is it what needs to happen? Will it work in Texas? Will it work in Georgia? Will it work in Illinois? Will it work in Wisconsin, in North Carolina, in Florida, on and on and on, everybody? Let's talk about it. In Chicago, we're going to have a high of 48 degrees, partly cloudy. Minneapolis, St. Paul, 47 degrees, partly cloudy. Major League Baseball, we're getting closer and closer to the World Series. The Yankees closed out their series against the Guardians yesterday. 5-1. The Yankees win their series and advance. The Phillies, well, they're leading their series 1-0 over the Padres. They will be facing them again today. Basketball season is here. The NBA, the Bulls will be playing the Heat tonight, and the Thunder will be playing the Timberwolves. Yay! President Biden kicked off the Democrats' final sprint focusing on abortion yesterday, everybody. We're talking about that today. Is that the right focus, or should he expand his focus? 773-763-9278. This, as we see that polling data is showing that the Republicans are entering the final weeks of this midterm season for control of Congress with a narrow but distinct advantage as the economy and inflation have surged as the dominant concerns, everybody. People are voting all over the country today. And I want you to call vote.org. Go online, vote.org. Find out if you're still registered. And if you are not registered, make plans to get re-registered. If you have trouble in the line today, if you have trouble at the polling place, do not leave. Call 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Do not leave. Call 1-866-OUR-VOTE and do not leave until you get instructions from these lawyers who are standing by, and let them know what your problem is so they can tell you what it is to do as we're watching this political mood tilt. And we're seeing, CK, there was a protester down in Georgia who went after Herschel Walker, a black man who called him a house N-word. He called him a joke. He said he tap dances. Of course, Herschel Walker's supporters were upset about that. They were like, I can't believe he said that about him. But can you? 773-763-9278. Governor DeSantis in Florida. We saw some footage yesterday that would make you ill, everybody. He has signed a bill creating one of the nation's only election police. And so yesterday we saw never seen before footage that showed people at home who were being told that they were going to be arrested, that they had huge fines because they voted. Now, these people have been told by authorities that they could vote. Well, DeSantis is going to send them to jail. So think about that, everybody, as we are in this election season. We're also talking about financial freedom. Team Hochberg, that is who you need to call if you need to clean up your credit, if you need to establish credit, if you need to get a credit card, stop using that debit card, if you need to clean up that credit card debt, if you want to purchase a home but you don't have good credit, or if you want to purchase a home and you've got a lot of debt, if you want to even if it's just a dream, call Team Hochberg and come up with a plan. If you failed to plan, you plan to fail. If you want to refinance your existing home, if you want to get an FHA or VA loan, if you want to find out about reverse mortgages, I'm telling you, you need to call Team Hochberg. And what's going to happen is you're going to tell them all about your financial situation. And then it's a free call. Then they'll come up with a plan for you. And they'll negotiate with your credit card company, and on and on and on. And you will be on the road to financial freedom, everybody. Tom and Sonia found this out. They had 17 credit cards, $100,000 worth of debt on those credit cards, 2 kids, a mortgage that they could not pay. They called Team Hochberg. Team Hochberg said, okay, let's investigate this. After they told them everything. And then, something good happened. They were able to eliminate their credit card debt, lower their payments by more than $2,800 a month. They were able to secure a loan, and guess what? Now their homes are safe. They are debt-free. That could be you. More and more Americans are struggling with debt. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You're trying to get that credit card so you can get your groceries. I understand it. Trust me, I get it. And so do they. So call them at 1-855-56-DAVID, 1-855-56-DAVID, or go to 56david.com. No one has to know that you've called. But you know what? Once you have something good that happens, go to Google and post a review. Let people know that there is a way for them to get up out of the hole. 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID. Team Hochberg. They will help you get on the road to financial freedom. All right, everybody. CK, we have got a tremendous panel today. Texas Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis and Illinois Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson, Wisconsin State Senator. She, in fact, in the last election cycle, she was running for mayor of Milwaukee. She's always looking for a way to serve. State Senator Lena Taylor. They are all joining us this morning. But you know what, CK? I want to get a couple of these calls in before we begin your segment. Renee, what's on your mind? Renee, thank you for holding. What's on your mind, girly girl?
Well, thank you for taking my call, and good morning to all. I just want to say that I agree with Senator Bernie Sanders, the man that I thought should have been president twice by now, but it didn't happen. Everybody, whether you're gay, straight, young or old, from the newborn baby in the hospital to the person who's lived decades and decades, even a century, you're all affected by health care. So by the economy, the ability to pay for that health care, by the ability to get good quality food, by the ability to be able to have good housing, that affects everybody, no matter what gender you are, no matter your age, no matter where you live at. You need to have the economy working for you so you can work that economy. On the other hand, abortion is a very divisive issue. Mm-hmm. Some people are against it for religious reasons. Some people feel like it's been really genocide against black babies. Kanye West, I know he's being silenced now, but that's one of the things he said. But if you look at the statistics, black babies are aborted way more than anybody else in this country, even though our percentage of the population is pretty low. So that's concerning to me and to some other people. And I was thinking that there's a connection with the economy and with the issue of abortion, because I'm thinking that some women would probably choose to maybe not abort if they knew that they had the money for that child care, if they knew they had paid maternity leave, if they knew they had job protection, if they knew that once the baby was here, when they went back to work, they could get the quality child care, the education for the child, they could feed the child, they had housing for the child. I know that doesn't work if you might not want to, you might have problems if you were raped and you couldn't emotionally keep that baby, though maybe you would even put it up for adoption. Mm-hmm. If there's been incest, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I know that a lot of women would probably consider keeping a child if the economy was such and our country was such that we really loved life and we wanted people to be here and be healthy. And it makes me a bit angry that the Democrats are choosing and have chosen this particular issue to highlight, because when you have somebody like a Senator Warnock, Reverend Senator Warnock, running in Georgia, and this is the main issue that the Democrats are focusing on, and then he has to answer to Herschel Walker, who said something like, "You're a minister. How can you be for abortion?" He shouldn't have been in that position. He should have been, and the Democrats should have been harping on the economy and the oligarchs who are making our prices so high, and all of these monopolies, even the grocery monopoly, the possible potential grocery monopoly that you talked about yesterday with the merger of Kroger and the other large grocery store with Amazon controlling Whole Foods and controlling your merchandise and all these stores closing, which affects the economy because now people don't have those jobs in department stores. I mean, that's what we should be focusing on. The few at the top who are controlling everything. Even some of our politicians are being controlled by them. Unfortunately, look at what's his name, Manchin, with all his ties to the fossil fuel industry and healthcare.
He's a mogul.
And then his daughter can.
He's a mogul.
His daughter can raise
company.
the price of the EpiPen 600%. I think it was.
Yeah.
This is what they should be focusing on. And I have to focus on getting out of here. I have to go to work. But I'm so glad you took my call today. And thank you. And have a great day.
CK, I'm going to take one more call, but Pam had been holding, Renee had been holding, and you know what? Robert's been holding. Robert, what's on your mind?
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks, Santita, for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
I've been listening, and I want to say I agree with you on a lot of things when it comes to the Democratic and Republican Party. My problem is when I had a friend of mine once, and we were sitting down talking. He's not a friend of mine anymore. And it's not, and he said to me, I didn't vote for Trump because I'm a racist. You know I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot and all this stuff. And I said, you're right, yeah, man, I know you're not a racist, but here's my problem. You can't stand at the side of a racist and tell me you're not a racist.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
You can't do that. You can't stand at the left hand of somebody in a Klan hood and then tell me
you're not with it.
You can't stand at the left hand of somebody in a Klan hood who's lynching somebody and then tell me you're not a racist. You just can't. It don't work that way in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way, you know.
But you know what? But sadly, let me share with you. Let me share this with you. And Rodney and CK knew, and you and Lena and Commissioner Johnson, you knew Frank Watkins very well. We're going to memorialize him on Saturday. Who is Frank Watkins? Frank Watkins is one of the great unsung heroes of the modern civil rights era. If you didn't have Frank Watkins, who was the communications director emeritus of Operation Breadbasket, Rainbow Push, and Rainbow Push, you wouldn't have had Jesse Jackson. You wouldn't have had Jesse Jackson Jr., Barack Obama, so many people. His contributions to the movement cannot even be calculated. But what Frank was he was a descendant of staunch Trumpites, white, from the middle of the United States, you know, real Midwesterner. And Robert, when I tell you, when we went to his mother's funeral, I sang Reverend Spoke, and we left as quickly as possible. But Frank, but that was his family. And I'm saying, I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Robert, I want you to stay there. I don't want you to leave yet. Because I want you to interact with everybody. CK, you can hear people. I don't even know if the corporate media, don't leave, Robert, stay right there. And Commissioner Ellis and Commissioner Johnson and Senator Taylor, I don't think they accurately capture how deeply people feel about these issues out here. CK.
Well, you know, good morning, Santita, and to Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Johnson, Senator Taylor, and to our callers. You know, I think you're right, but here in Georgia, they take it seriously. Because
y'all called the man a house N-word yesterday. Oh, wow.
So what had happened was, let me tell you, people are, Herschel Walker has plucked a nerve here in Georgia in so many ways, because a lot of people are very offended that he's being used in this way. One of his latest commercials, which I think probably for some is quite effective, says something to this nature, and this is the tone. Senator Warnock, you know, he ain't telling the whole story. Yeah, I had some mental issues and stuff like that, But I believe in redemption, and but for the grace of God, God has redeemed me and given me a second chance. Shame on you, and you a minister, and you lying and not telling the truth. Okay, so that's a commercial. And I think I've embellished it. Maybe it's perhaps not as articulate as that.
Ooh.
But that commercial, it should make you feel some kind of way, because every time I see it, because the commercials come on and on and on, it makes me feel some kind of way. But that commercial goes straight to the heart of what is happening here in Georgia. This is an incredibly divisive race, and you've got two black men. You've got one who is eminently disqualified and has no qualifications to serve as a U.S. senator, but he is part of a religion and a billion-dollar industry, and that's football, and he is backed 1,000% by the Republican Party and conservatives, and they are not moving. They could come up with, there could be a statement as outrageous and as disgusting as Herschel Walker raped his daughter, if he had one. And they would say, well, but that was a long time ago, and everybody deserves a second chance. It would not matter what the narrative is about Herschel Walker. That he is going to be supported because he is the ticket to regaining control of the U.S. Senate. Then you've got Senator Raphael Warnock, who is someone, there are even conservatives in Georgia who believe that he's done a good job, who's demonstrated competence, and this is not about competence, who hands down can handle the business that a U.S. senator is required to do, and who does understand how to fight a street fight too. We had an event last night, lawyers for Warnock, and lawyers in Georgia were there. It was a very, very, very successful event. But he is fighting for his survival in the Senate because of the billion-dollar industry that is supporting Herschel Walker, no matter how, and this is me speaking, ignorant some of his statements are. And that's a mild statement that I would make because we're on radio.
Thank you.
He is being supported by a machinery that is so impactful. So all of the election protection lawyers and legal efforts and all of that we can do to protect people's right to vote in Georgia, because we're a voter suppressive state, those are very effective. But I can tell you this, the machinery that is supporting Herschel Walker is dominating. And that concerns me. But Senator Warnock can pull it out and win. All he has to continue to do, which is what he's doing, this team is doing, is to get out the vote. Register voters and get them out. Early voting has started in Georgia. That's a great thing. Record numbers of people have turned out at the polls. What does that tell you? The machinery is working in favor of Senator Raphael Warnock.
Sure.
Because for people to, in record numbers of people to turn out, the first day of early voting tells you this is divisive, people are upset, and they're not going to allow themselves to be manipulated in this way. And not just in the Atlanta metropolitan area. Record turnout numbers in rural areas too. So if the Warnock team continues to get out the vote, then he will be okay. He will prevail, he will win. But I just want you to know, he's fighting for survival because of the billion-dollar machinery that supports Herschel Walker. Now, let me just finally, and thank you, one more thing. This is a footnote. Herschel Walker may be magnificent at doing a whole bunch of stuff, but he does not need to be a U.S. senator for the state of Georgia or any place. And I don't care if he were a Democrat, I'd say the same thing. He does not have the temperament. On no level should he serve as a senator.
But CK, we know this. This really, and I certainly want the rest of the panel to elaborate this when we get on the other side of the break. Commissioner Ellis, this helps you to uncover that, wait a minute, these folks don't mind who gets in there. They mind what gets in there. They don't want you to be independent. They don't mind a Herschel Walker. In fact, they prefer Herschel because they can just put their hand up his back and make him do whatever they need him to do. And I'm being very, very gentle and generous. I have one, and you can speak to this more fulsomely when we get back. I mean, I think there's no reason Beto O'Rourke should be running away with this in Texas. 1 minute, it belongs to you, and then I'm going to bring you back on the other side of the break.
It's a lot to unpack, and I'm sorry we only have an hour. But look, we got to remember that the country is very divided.
And issues that might work in one part of the country or in one city may not work across the rest of the country or the rest of the state. So the reality is, with these great guests that we're going to hear from, we have to figure out how we touch as many parts of our base that will come out as possible. And that's the big challenge. Who will come out?
But do you think the economy would be the great unifier as opposed to, say?
No, I think it's one of them. I would say that you gotta look. It's hard to change the strategy in the middle of the stream. You know, when you're doing your TV buys, you got to buy that stuff now a month in advance. When you change it at the last minute, you know it's going to cost a heck of a lot more to book that TV. And with the kind of, it's part of it. You can do subtle changes to the message. We know that on the Democratic side, women, black women in the black community are the base, and white women, Hispanic women, South Asian women are the ones that a Warnock or a Beto are most apt to try and get to vote for them. When we work some of those people in Frank Watson's family, some of them you need to leave them alone.
Yes.
just pray for them and love them because of his family.
Yes.
But, you know, when we come back on the other side of the break, I'll be interested in hearing what's going on in Wisconsin. You got an important race out there in Illinois. But, you know, you just can't. Look, at the end of the day, generally the economy, other than Bill Clinton, you got me? If the economy's stupid, it hadn't worked for us. They blame us for everything, including all of the thoughtful Bernie-esque things that we have done. Not all of them, but many of them the Biden administration has done. And then even some of our allies blame that on Democrats for creating inflation. Is that a hell of a deal? So in other words, during the worst of times, we can't help you eliminate inequities, or that'll cause inflation. And then during the best of times, well, we'll get to you when we have some money. But then no criticism of those record-breaking tax breaks for billionaires and millionaires that went out under Trump. So historically, it's just been a challenge for us. You know, this administration has done a good number of the things we have fought for in terms of the economy for years.
Hold that thought. I want you to talk about that on the other side of the break. We'll be back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. Look, you made me go past my break. I'm like, what? But I think Robert is still.
Break to clear this throat.
No, it's okay.
I'm clearing this throat with this herbal tea.
Oh, look, I'm sucking on ginger lozenges, trying to keep my stomach in check. Robert, are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay, honey. Why don't you respond to what you heard from Commissioner Ellis and from Attorney C.K. Hoffler?
I completely agree about Warnock. I mean, he was calling the House in, and it's hard for me to disagree with that. You know, it's like I said. I mean, you can't stand next to somebody who you know is that way. You know is that way. You know they're that way, and you're gonna stand next to them, and that's how I feel. You know?
Sugar, he was so surprised when they came after him. It's a headline in the Daily Mail. I said, come on now, Herschel. You didn't think that people were not going to call you out. Come on.
I mean, you know, come on. People were going to call him out. You know, I mean, you can't sit there and say you got angel wings when you standing next to the devil. You can't say that. That's not how it works.
Robert, I remember when Andrew Young ran for mayor and to succeed Maynard Jackson. And at some point, Mayor Maynard Jackson was so upset. I think the phrase he used, CK, was shuffling, grinning Negroes or black folks who were backing. You remember that, CK? Who were backing. What was his name?
But did you say shuffling, grinning?
Yes, he did.
Did you say
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Negroes.
Now, I was very tamed in my comments when I talked about Herschel Walker's commercial. I was very tame.
Wait, and you know what? And Brandon cannot respond because he is a mayoral aspirant. So be quiet, Brandon.
Yes.
And we don't want him
quiet, Brandon.
Well, we don't want.
And look, when it got hot,
but I do remember.
Hot in the press, they had to diffuse it. By the way, so the way they diffused it was they had this party and printed these bumper stickers that had shuffling, grinning Negroes on it. And a lot of folks showed up because you have to be careful. You know, will it enrage the other side more than it will encourage your base? And I think when Mayor Jackson did it, it was just a slip of the tongue. It was a candid moment. He was saying what many people were thinking, but he didn't use that more negative word. He said, Negroes. For the longest, I had one of those bumper stickers framed to remind me to be careful. Gotta remember what you say.
Get out of here. You know, Rodney Ellis was giving out those bumper stickers.
You knew to be careful.
You know he was giving out those bumper stickers. We know you, Rodney Ellis.
Only the private parties. Only the private.
Back in 60 seconds.
No, thank you. You know, Commissioner Ellis was giving out those bumper stickers. Be clear on that, Senator. Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
It was hung in my office for the longest.
Hanging in his office. I mean, what? Seriously?
Yeah, I hear he's got one that's signed.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Was that Brandon? You yes. Some of your colleagues, Brandon. When your race is over, I look forward to coming to see you in Chicago, man. You're doing great stuff.
Well, we have another mayoral aspirant from Milwaukee, and that's Senator Taylor. So she can't say anything either. She's got to be nice and political.
Back in 30.
No, let it go. but let me just say, I don't have to be nice and political, but I just want clarification. Did you say someone came out singing?
No, they just started shouting him down at his campaign rally.
Oh, okay.
And this was not a public official. This was somebody in the audience.
This was a brother in the audience.
This was a voter. Yeah.
About to come back.
Yeah.
And we're coming back.
Okay. Senator Taylor, good to hear your voice.
Good to be with you. Good to hear you too, y'all.
Change the world. Change the world.
I love y'all.
We can change the world. We can change the world. Change the world.
This is the Santita Jackson Show.
War and hate to a place of love. It's not too late. Gotta save the children. We can't wait. Let's change the world. I am breathing.
Oh boy, welcome back to the Santita Jackson Show. Well, we're having a great time today with Texas Harris County Commissioner Rodney Ellis. Ooh, C.K. Hoffler. Where do you find these people? And then Wisconsin State Senator Lena Taylor and Illinois Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson. We're talking about the Democrats' messaging. You know, how is this going to work? Americans are very upset about inflation, the economy. President Biden said, I'm going to run on abortion. We need to protect that right. And I promise you that's the first thing I'm going to do when we capture and when we hold on to these majorities. Do you think that is the right messaging? Senator Bernie Sanders has said, look, Democrats, take it to the Republicans on the economy. Don't just talk about it. Take it to them. Let the world know that we have put forth legislation to save the American worker and the American poor, but the people who've obstructed us, the people who stood in our way are the Republicans. So, crickets, what's up? 773-763-9278. I know we have a lot of callers, but boy, oh boy, CK, we've been listening to you and Commissioner Ellis. We still have some more callers, but we have to hear from Commissioner Johnson and Senator Taylor, because they have a big race with Mandela Barnes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Santita, one thing I just want to say really quickly, I think we have to be able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. I mean, I think that we have to, there are a myriad of issues, and I think, as Commissioner Ellis said, you know, what will resonate in one state, in one county, in one metropolitan area may not resonate throughout the state, throughout the county, or throughout the United States. But for sure, the economy is on the top of everyone's mind. But here in Georgia, and just like it was in Kansas, reproductive rights and a woman's right to choose what happens to her body, some people feel some kind of way about that. And so that is an issue front center for both the gubernatorial race and the Senate race. Those are big issues. The economy, yes. People are talking about the economy, how they feel. But that women's reproductive rights, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, the fact that, you know, Governor Kemp wants a very, very draconian, is a proponent of very, very draconian measures as it relates to controlling what women can do in terms of their own bodies and reproductive rights. That's a big issue. Herschel Walker talking out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, I can't even talk about Herschel Walker without having some type of. Anyway, Herschel Walker, takes a very, very strong position where he makes no exception. Not even with incest and rape, he believes that a woman should bear that child. That's his latest position. It doesn't apply to him, of course, because he's going to pay for an abortion. But that
and he's going to send you a thank you card. I mean, a get well soon card. Come on,
thank you card. Get well soon card. But that's just sheer and just unadulterated hypocrisy and wanting to win that seat. So it doesn't even matter what Herschel Walker feels. He's going to be supported by those who are supporting him.
But see, that's my point, CK. They don't care about those issues. They care about the power. This is pure power politics. Right. I mean, they don't care about your qualifications. They don't care. They don't care about any of that.
The voters do care about the issue.
And I think that the voters should. But I'm saying when we're talking about the establishment, we need to understand the game that they continue to play. So when someone comes to you and talks to you about you're an affirmative action hire or an affirmative action admission to a school, tell them to shut up because y'all voted for Herschel Walker. Please. He wasn't even qualified. People who I mean, no. Affirmative action means you are qualified. Get out of here. Lena Taylor. Oh,
shut up. Oh, yes. I'm going to quote Santita. Santita told me to tell you to shut up.
It's too much. This man shouted at a man protesting against Walker. I'm reading to you from the Daily Mail, and this is from a Fox News report. They said they yelled racial verbal abuse at him. This is all a stunt. Quote, he's nothing but a house N-word. The man said, he's a joke. He tap dances and he's a house N-word. Okay. Lena, what's going on in Wisconsin? I mean, will this message that the president has, that the Democrats have, is it resonating where you are?
The message that the Democrats are doing and the message that the president has is not quite the same. So the message that the candidates are running are slightly different. It has been abortion. It's been crime that they've been talking about here, even though the issues that people seem to be most concerned about are the issues of inflation, are the issues of buying groceries and the eggs are high. It's the issue that, when they go to buy, the corned beef or go and buy, something else, that those things are significantly higher than they used to be. And those are real issues for people. And there just is not the energy that we want to see. I just went to a few events last night that were events to encourage voters. And the energy is not the energy that I'm accustomed to in my little 2 decades almost of doing this. When we get the turnout that we need, that was the turnout that we needed, for example, to get rid of Walker when we elected Tony Evers and his then running mate, Mandela Barnes. The energy was different then, and it was surely different when President Obama was running. So that is concerning. But I will tell you that there are quite a few things going on, and there's been a small shift I see in the ads that are going forward to try to shift from that crime conversation, because in that crime conversation, the person in the audience called Herschel out and called him a name. Well, the ads that Ron Johnson had been doing, they didn't call Mandela anything, but they implied everything. Well, they said he was dangerous, really big, and made him darker. He almost looked like he was Jonathan's color versus your color, Santita. It's a big difference. And they have the pictures of him even darker than that. In the ad, so it's to scare people off. So now it looks like there is a shift to the women's issues, to women's rights, and the fact that Ron Johnson has a record that you can use. And so now they are just listing Ron Johnson's record. And that, I believe, is resonating more than, just letting Ron Johnson beat him with a stick on this crime issue. So now they're saying Ron Johnson wants to, eliminate or change Social Security so you may not have it. Ron Johnson is okay with a ban that would say that even for incest and rape, that women cannot make that choice with their doctor and their families, their loved ones. Those are not the issues that were prevalent before, but they are, it seems like in the ad buys becoming that. It looks like they switched some stuff out. And I'm hoping that that's going to matter. And then President Obama is going to be here on the 29th. So that will give about a week before the election for the momentum to continue to rise. But I agree with Bernie Sanders. I think that they should be talking about the economy. I believe that they should be talking about the jobs that have been added and what else, the president has done. But I'll end with this. There's been a distinct difference, though, in the Mandela Barnes campaign and Tony Ebert's campaign, our governor running for reelection. He has stuck on the economic issues a little more. He didn't talk about it in the way of inflation or whatever he is now in his ads, but he started with talking about what he was doing for businesses, and in particular, Black businesses. And I will tell you that has resonated with people in the community, and his numbers are slightly higher. And he is holding his ground, slightly different than in the U.S. Senate race. But I do believe that if Mandela continues to beat the drum on who Ron Johnson is and continues to talk about those issues of Social Security, of inflation, and if he continues to do those things and makes it connect, I believe he can potentially, bring this home.
Well, CK, before we get to the callers, we need to hear from Commissioner Brandon Johnson here in Illinois. Because I'm struck even before I get to you, Brandon, Commissioner Ellis, you bring up the fact that you have to have a broad strategy that works for the whole country, but you have to have specific tactics that work in Texas, that work in Illinois, that work in California, that work in Montana, because these are different audiences, right? And you've got a lot of different audiences in Texas too.
They are. And, you got to do polling. You got to make sure you budget for it. As I mentioned, when you change tactics, it costs more money to go up on TV. CK said it right. You got to chew gum and walk at the same time. It's really all of the above. And that can be subtle changes to it. But, sort of like the crime issue. Republicans have always run against Democrats on crime. Look, going back to George Wallace, it's been the same old message. For them, the economy is just lower the taxes and boots on the ground. And it's worked for them a number of times. And then they'll pivot to something else. That's why DeSantis and Abbott in Texas was shipping immigrants to other parts of the country. They want to get back on the immigration issue. As though, who's governor of Texas or who's a mayor or who's a county commissioner can control it. They'll focus on crime, but not want to talk about the fact they make guns so easy for everybody to get around the country. So I'm saying there's all of the above, but you got to make sure you focus on the folks who will vote. Don't spend a lot of time trying to get so-called independents or hardcore conservatives who are never going to vote for you. People are seeing how this Supreme Court eroded a right that women had for 50 years. And then it makes you think. The subtle message is what comes next? A host of decisions. Affirmative action is one. A whole host of things that this court may do. So I just think it's pretty late in the game to completely change strategy. You can do subtle parts to it. And all of the positive things that the Biden administration and Harris administration did, they're going to go back to that same old song and say, it's socialism. And then scare off some of our votes. Oh, it's going to cost money when it has helped to reduce child poverty, as an example, to one of the lowest levels in our lifetime.
Commissioner Johnson. Yet again, we're in Illinois.
If I were if I were teaching, Santita, this would be my social studies class right now. You all are doing such a fabulous job of just contextualizing this, and the not just this moment, but I think.
Well, wait a minute. Well, then let me give this to you. Well, let me give this to you because Illinois is one of these states. We farm up here, Commissioner Ellis. We do that. And Chicago and Chicago is to Illinois what Atlanta is to Georgia. Okay? What Houston and Dallas are to the rest of Texas. We're an island. The way you campaign in Chicago is not the way you campaign 30 miles south of the city or north of the city or west of the city, Commissioner. It's just different audiences.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think to the point, this conversation about our focus on the economy or the lack thereof. A couple of years ago, there was a ballot initiative to do just that, to create a progressive income tax structure in Illinois, because we're stuck at a flat rate. So someone like Ken Griffin, one of the wealthiest individuals in the country, in the world, pays the same tax rate as a gig worker, right? Someone who relies upon tips. And the stark difference between how people in Chicago and Cook County voted versus the rest of the state. And the city of Chicago, 77, almost 80% of Chicagoans said, yes, the wealthy should pay and contribute more to our economy. And the rest of the state disagreed. And that's what brought that particular measure to its knees, and it failed. The challenge, of course, is it doesn't seem to matter what issue it is. There's going to be a divisive framework, and that's why I think what Renee was ultimately alluding to is that there's an intersectionality of the economy and how it impacts all aspects of our existence. And so, Commissioner Ellis is aware of this. Cook County government, we're in the midst of our budget cycle right now as we prepare for the next fiscal year. And what we have focused on, at least at the county level, we're going to pass an $8 billion budget, one of the largest budgets in the entire country. And we're focusing on measures like guaranteed income, where $500, goes into, the accounts of families who are struggling to make the ends meet. We have 3,500 slots available for this pilot program. Yes. It's almost a $50 million budget appropriation. Over 200,000 people have already applied for 3,500 slots. To the point of our focus on this economy and focusing on the economy and the impact that has on the rest of our existence, it's something that's critical. Now, at the same time, of course, reproductive rights and healthcare, right? That's important, right? We're also expanding healthcare at the county level. 40,000 more folks have access to county care, which is a creation out of the Affordable Care Act that, President Obama obviously championed. I see that there is an opportunity for us to create the intersections between, having access to healthcare, mental health care, the ability to actually pay rent or get groceries, while at the same time recognizing that there are healthcare protections that we have to maintain, because I think to our brother in Texas, that the attack that the right wing or corporations in particular have on our position and our stance as those of us who believe in justice, that those attacks don't just sit at the doorstep of the economy or education or reproductive or healthcare rights, right? They want to roll back every single game. The last thing that I'll say is, to the point about the economy and jobs in particular, so many of these corporations are pushing the government to provide incentives, tax breaks, loopholes, so that ostensibly they will create more jobs, and that trickles down to the rest of the economy, which we know doesn't work. So Amazon, for instance, there's a big one that has set up shop in my district. And so they touted to the city of Chicago, look, we're going to create 500 jobs. And folks got excited about them. But here's the problem, Santita, that over the course of the 10-year tax incentive that Amazon is going to get to be on the west side of Chicago, over 6,000 different people will hold those 500 positions. And so you have this we're literally spinning our wheels, and this is what's causing some of the tension, as well as the lack of excitement, if you will, that our sister in Milwaukee is getting at, Senator Taylor.
Yes.
And if we don't address, I think as progressives in particular, the need to create an economic structure that provides security so that we don't have to rely upon policing and jails like what we've seen for decades. If we don't create an economic security that provides access to health care, then we're going to still, find ourselves in these positions where we're looking for the issue to drive out the greatest number of our base when we actually are not reaching the over 2 million workers right now that are domestic workers or gig workers or house cleaners, right? These are individuals that are naturally attracted to our base, that if we actually have a Bill of Rights for workers' rights across this country, that will energize people to fight for those things like abortion rights, for voting rights, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my piece of the world in Cook County government. But I think that there's an opportunity, not just here in Illinois, but, we're rooting for our brother in Texas. My campaign manager, Jason Lee, of course, is down in Texas now, helping his family, and looking forward to him coming back here so that we can get some wins here in Chicago. But let's get Beto elected. Let's get Mandela elected. Let's get Warnock elected. Let's get Stacey elected. And
Val Demings and Sherry Beasley. Let me get a couple of these callers in before we go. But I'm gonna reach out to all of you again because I don't know if you saw that video footage of these Black people who were being arrested because of the DeSantis election police. He signed a bill, the election police. It is absolutely awful. Let me go to
Heads up, Esley is not here, but Paul
let me
is.
go to Paul from Seattle. Paul?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, hon.
I know time is limited, so let me just say that here we go again with Democrats panicking at the last minute that, maybe we should change what we're talking about to what the Republicans are complaining about the economy, so we should be talking. No. I remember when Van Jones said, when Republicans lose an election, they want to kill Democrats. But when Democrats lose an election, they want to kill themselves. And that's where we are again. It's like, look, the base was motivated by the abortion issue. You can't then stop talking about it and say, we're going to talk about the economy. Because those women would not have been motivated to get involved by inflation.
No, wait a minute, Paul. Hold on, Paul. I don't want to stop you. I just want to engage with you. I don't think that's what Bernie Sanders was saying. I don't think he said stop. I think he said expand. Right?
We can, and it's easy. Yeah. It's easy to do. All you have, first of all, inflation. This is how you respond to. What is government supposed to do about inflation in the free market? Because I think somebody did indicate earlier in the conversation, they'd be complaining that, it's socialism. But I heard a conservative talk show host this last week say, just give us the government oil and get the hell out of the way of the free market. So really what they want to do is, and by the way, we take 29% of our domestic oil production was put on the world market last year. We can't keep our own domestic oil. This is baloney. We had inflation during the Trump years. It just happened to be in the stock market. Inflation is it's a naturally occurring phenomena of a free market economy. And all we have to do is say supply side Reaganomics failed us. We had a worldwide pandemic, and we've been on supply side Reaganomics for the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. And that's why we got hung up, because we need domestic jobs, domestic supplies. And that's all you have to say. It's got to be short and sweet. But yeah, you're right.
But it has to happen. At the end of the day, but it has to happen. And I think that the Democrats have to say, you know what? I'm not going to run away from the economy. I came in on this mandate, 80 plus million votes, and you said you wanted this, and I served it up. And you know who stood in the way? You know who swatted it down? You know who defeated it? You know who refused to even deal with this? Look at Joe Manchin. Look at Kirsten Sinema. Look at the Republicans. That is what they've done. Short and sweet. Get them out. No, but hold on, Paul, because I need to get a couple of quick comments from you. About 30 seconds from you, Commissioner Ellis. I was about to call you Senator Ellis. That was your other job.
I just, we can make subtle changes to the message, but it's very difficult to change this far down the road. Look, there's no way we're going to have the turnout we had in the presidential year. We need Trump out there making more noise. That helps. I turn out Texas, May, and Harris County, which is about the size of Cook County. which is bigger than 25 states, by the way. You know that Cook County is bigger than 25 states. just that
Unbelievable.
county.
No.
But look, Trump's not on the ballot to the extent we can give impression he's on the ballot. We got to make sure we know it's a lower turnout. We got to get our side. We can't spend a whole lot of time trying to get people we will never convert. Convert them afterwards. It's just too difficult. And look on inflation. A lot of it is supply chain. That's because of what Putin is doing. What can we do to stop that? And we tend to be so short-sighted on the economy. No matter how much Brandon has done on labor protections, on landlord protections, people who still can't get a place are still mad at guess who, Commissioner? You. Senator Taylor, a public defender. Whenever somebody doesn't have decent representation, despite all the great things you've done in the legislature, who they mad at? You. So on this issue of a woman's right to choose, they can see it, they can feel it, they can live it, they know it. So, I mean, it's just something tangible. And you got to do it in a quick sound bite. They don't want to hear this long explanation.
Boom on that. CK, the last 30 seconds belong to you. And everybody, if you could stay with me for just a couple more minutes off the air, I want to give you all some closing statements here on Facebook Live. 30 seconds, CK.
We have got to vote. We have got to get out the vote. We have got to vote our conscience, and we have got to vote out people who are not advocates of our interests. In Georgia, if we turn out the vote, Senator Raphael Warnock will win, and Stacey Abrams will win. Period. End of discussion, and drop the mic. That's what we need to do in Georgia, and I think it should be replicated throughout the nation. And Santita, we've got our Rainbow Push Conference in Atlanta today.
Yes.
That starts, and I open it up in 2 minutes. So
creating opportunity.
Creating opportunity. So, and to Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Johnson, Senator Taylor, thank you so much. And we just need to keep on fighting and get out that vote. That's the only way that we can prevail.
Amen. And for those of you who are voting early today, do not leave if you have trouble at the polls. Don't leave. Call 1-866-OUR-VOTE. 1-866-OUR-VOTE. If you need to find out what your voting status is or where to vote, go to vote.org. I love you, everybody. Can't wait to be with you tomorrow on the Santita Jackson Show. Woo! Lena Taylor, I would like for you, Commissioner Johnson, and Commissioner Ellis to have the final word. Senator Taylor, what do you want us to know?
I want us to go out and vote. I want people to know that if you do not get involved, it's the first step, though, to vote. Then you have to hold people accountable after that. But if you do not get involved, you will end up with whatever somebody else is trying to give you. And that is not necessarily going to be your values. It's not necessarily going to protect your rights.
Amen to that. Commissioner Johnson, what do you want us to know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Santita. I just want to make sure I make a clarifying point. Commissioner Harris said, I'm sorry.
Ellis from Harris County.
Almost, Ellis, yes. His county is almost as big as Cook County. I just want to make sure that we emphasize the word almost.
No, you bigger.
These folks, they will take shots at Cook County subtly. And, I got to defend my county, Commissioner Ellis.
Your county and your city, and Chicago is bigger than you.
Ain't got nothing.
Right.
After all the great things that were said, that's all you got?
Right. That's what guys do. We just get real petty here in county government. But no, I mean, look, I think the intersectionality of all of these issues, play out in a very dramatic way. And I believe, look, in order to ignite and generate our base, we have to talk about things that people care about. And it just turns out that we care about a lot of things. And, this is the one that is, front and center. And I believe that we can make sure that we're lifting up reproductive rights while also at the same time recognizing that you have, growing economic disparities that exist. And those disparities that exist limit our access to health care. And I think as long as we're talking about health care in its fullness and recognizing that is still very much a tremendous battle, right? It's a battle that our ancestors were formerly enslaved saw as a major part of the Reconstruction era. And so, those fights continue, and knowing that our struggle, to get justice sometimes takes decades, if not centuries. That how easily those policies can be rolled back. And I think to Senator Taylor's point, we got to get out and vote because literally the work that we put in, there's always someone trying to undermine that. So let's continue our fight and our organizing. And then I think the last thing is to hold ourselves accountable to push for an economy that speaks to justice and equity.
Amen to that. Senator, I'm about to make you a senator again. Commissioner Ellis. Oh, no, go on.
Santita, thank you for pulling us all together. A great labor leader, Commissioner Johnson, great equity leader. Senator Taylor, by the way, went to Southern University Law School, and a great policy thinker. CK, all the work you've done for Rainbow Push around the country. Santita, you got the top progressive talk show in the country. I hope your listeners would do more than just listen or just call in and ask a question. They ought to send a check to somebody in Illinois. We know who they ought to send it to in Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes. Mm-hmm. Send one to Senator Warnock. Send one to Beto or somebody. Get outside your comfort zone. I've sent something, and I encourage my children to send something around the country. And no matter how hard it is to vote with voter suppression laws in Georgia and in Texas, I think we might have slightly the more repressive one, CK, than you have in Georgia, but you got to vote anyway. It's not as bad as it was when you had to estimate how many jelly beans in a jar, but it's bad. But vote anyway and send some money. Thank you, Santita.
But I have a question for you because I'm going to reach back out to you, Commissioner Ellis, and really all because we're in these voter suppressive states. Did you see that video footage? We're on Facebook Live. Of the black people who were being arrested down in Florida because of the DeSantis election police units.
Did, and I was appalled. And look, it's a playbook that'll go around the country. I just got up this morning and saw a letter from my Secretary of State. The state's going to send in election monitors and attorney general to see what we do in Harris County. You know what that's about. I mean, you going to trust our indicted Attorney General of Texas? So look, that's why it's so important that those Senate races are important. We got to hold on to the House. We got to get federal legislation passed to protect our voting rights. These people are just going to Jim Crow too, saying we've seen this in history before. It's scary.
I had to ask you about it because I just said, "Wow." Yes, I'm sorry, Lena, Senator Taylor.
Yes, I just want to say this is a perfect thing to say. The Vigilant movie.
Oh, that's right.
Palace is yet another. This is another example. What's happening in Florida? What we're just talking about now is an example of why we need to be vigilant in order to protect the right to vote. And the Vigilant movie that Greg Palast has done, we're showing it on Saturday in Milwaukee at the Wisconsin African American Women's Center at noon. We'll have light lunch for individuals, and it is an opportunity to see this hour plus movie. But what it will do is it will, I hope, inspire you and remind you of why you need to go out and vote. And even when they try to take it, even with suppression, all of that, you still need the press. But you got to hold people accountable afterwards, too. And that's what Bernie Sanders is talking about when he says what our message is. That's how you keep people on point with message, being engaged, being involved, speaking up. And so I just want to say,
amen.
Involved with the movie. Get involved with the movie that Greg Palast has done so you can see what is happening in Georgia. What happened in Georgia is happening in other places.
The election police.
You keep us connected. Send my number to my two elected colleagues.
I will do that right now.
I sent to Taylor when you were elected in 2003.
I will do that right now.
Before it gets too cold. All right. Wonderful. I got bragging rights. We got better weather in the winter in Texas than you have in Cook County. How about that? Just don't come in the summer. Don't come in.
When he wants Jonathan to go on those bike rides, trying to make my brother pass out on that bike. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Thank you all. Good to hear all your voices.
Love you both. And love all three of you. Love you. And thank you so much. Lena? Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to let everybody go. I love you, love you, love you. I hope that you all had a good time today. I love all these people. I love you.
We did. CK, I'm going to call you. I want to check on you. I know you're dealing with family issues.
Absolutely.
So answer that phone. Don't go back to sleep. All right. Love you, Santita.
I love you. And I love Leisha and the beautiful children.
Yeah. Hey, Leisha's in New York. I invested in this play on Broadway. Black play. Deborah Martin Chase called me Top Dog. Not much money, but I hope I get my money back. So buy some tickets. Go on Broadway. See it. Top Dog.
Look, I should have told you about this play that we've been trying to get to Broadway that I've been in. This musical, we were being workshopped right before the pandemic in December of 2019.
I hope on this one, Deborah lived in Houston for a while, and was real close to Mickey and Allison. So Lisa she went to Parents Weekend in Syracuse and leaving me here with my son. This house is, I'm telling you this. I had a fundraiser for my county chair last night. Lord, I called my staff and said, look, I'll pay y'all. Please come help me clean this house up. Bye. I'm out of here.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, I love you all. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow. Lord willing. Love you, love you, love you. Wait a minute. Let me do that. Okay, because my little thing is not working today. How about that?